not. Hopefully. That's taking. Okay, there it is. Again, why is it look my side, right? Same problem. Okay. Must have done something. Present to everyone too. Okay, there we are. Oops. Okay, so the bold arrows simply say that these classes are subclasses of your account class. And again, notice there is one more instance variables. I haven't placed all of them here. Two are coming from the parent, and this is the third one. Again, there is a setter and a getter for it. There is a constructor. Constructor should use the super call to call the super constructor. The calculate interest simply returns a double value. Now, I did not change the account balance in calculate interest because this is not changing it. The interest, I don't know how do they do it in the bank, but if I added it to the account balance and you called it again, it would give you a wrong result. So I leave the account balance and I leave the interest as two different entities. So in your, whenever we write an application on it, I'll call the calculate interest, I'll get the account balance, add the two and say this is your total balance. Otherwise, it will not kind of work properly. I was thinking about should I change it, and then I said no, I think I should only return it. So that's whatever it says, do it. Don't think a lot about the logic, like why, because I've kind of thought about it. Okay. The toString method, again, I don't want you to create a new toString method. I want you to override the toString method of the parent class. Information is already coming here. If you notice, information is already coming here. I showed you I already had two pieces of data here, the name and the account number. All I do here in my savings account is I add the interest. That's all I do. See there. That's all I do. So you already have something coming from your parent and you just do it. In the savings account class, you just have to be careful about one thing. I've said that the interest rate, the valid value of interest rate is 0.5% to 2.5%. Right? That's what I've said. Now, and the type is a double. The type of your interest rate is a double. So the values that you will put in to validate your data is 0.005 to 0.025. That's your double value. Don't put it as these values. How will, otherwise, when you multiply 2.5 with your balance, imagine the interest you will get, right? So the interest rate is 0.5% to 2.5%. The output shows the rate, not the double value. But when you validate the data in your code, which you will, because I've said it lies, please see that you validate it against this range, right? You don't validate it against this, you validate it against this. It's a percent. So percent means you have two zeros. Divide by 100 in both cases. Okay, so be careful about that. Otherwise, of course, the testers will also fail. The methods will fail, but you may say, what's going on, right? Be careful about this. And I mentioned it somewhere again in the assignment. Just because not everybody is mathematical, you know what I mean? Like, it may not be that, oh, you understand what the percent means. So I've given this note somewhere in my assignment also. But it's important to keep in mind because the first time I did it, I didn't pay attention to it. So because I made a mistake, I thought, you know what if you also don't think about it? But that's what the double value is. So the interest rate lies between 0.005 to 0.025. But when I print it, notice in my printing, I don't want to show these odd values. I want to show a 1.5%. Right? So I said 1.50. I think I used a 0.2f because it could be 2.25. So I always use the two places of decimal. Okay, so that's how the output should be. And you will notice that the same kind of concept is in the other class also. It is showing me what its parent class gives it, and then it adds a transaction fee. Again, notice there is a $sign. There are two places after decimal. So you see what my toString is doing. You have to exactly do the same thing. I mean, so if you don't understand what she's asking, you can always see at the output, though it mentions it in the assignment too. So your other class, so this is about this class. This other class is a checking account, and the checking account charges a fee per transaction. So I have a private variable fee per transaction plus 2 coming from the parent. So again, it has 3, but we don't write them here in the class diagram. Inheritance automatically means it inherits it. The constructor has 3 parameters. Why? 1 for this and 2 for the parent. So again, a call to the super. The set fee and the get fee per transaction, again, I think the only check I've said is greater than 0. Because when I Googled it, there was a lot of variation. How many, you could pay something for a month, you could pay something for number of transactions, and I thought that was too complicated, so I've kept it simple. Fee per transaction should be greater than 0, is all I've asked you. Okay. And then the credit and the debit are not two new methods. These, notice the name, they have the same name, they have the same parameters, double and double. So these are overriding the credit and the debit methods of your subclass account. There all you were doing was adding an amount or subtracting an amount. Here what you will do is you will also subtract a transaction fee from the charge fee method does it, subtracts the transaction fee. So if it is successful, I've said if it is successful, keep in mind if it is unsuccessful anyway, it will stop at the throw exception. So if your credit method is unsuccessful, it will throw an exception and it will stop anyway, right? Otherwise what happens is it comes back. Keep in mind also that when you do a call, when you call methods, so suppose method 1 is calling method 2, there is a call like this, right? And then after, so here is a sequence, and then it is kind of doing some system out println or whatever. When it goes to M2, if this method was unsuccessful in the sense it threw an exception, it stops right there. Execution stops. But if it was successful and it came back, it will come here. And then you do your whatever you have to do. So your credit method must call the parent credit method. If it comes back, all you do is charge a fee because that means it was successful. And if it doesn't come back, you don't have to worry about it. It threw an exception anyway and it stopped. The program stops when an exception is thrown. So don't get confused by when it says if it is successful, but you should understand that my method stops when an exception is thrown. There could have been another option. I could have returned a true or a false saying, oh, it is successful or it is not. But we know exceptions now. They're so neat and clean and they do their job. So why even go with extra work, right? And so is the debit method. Debit method does the same. If the debit was successful, then it also reduces the transaction amount. So since the transaction amount has to be subtracted from your account balance, do it in charge fee. And again, use get methods everywhere. Here you will have to use get account balance anyway because it doesn't belong here. But also say get transaction fee and subtract it. Right? So there is this private method. Again, you have a private method called validate, and it's again validating your fee per transaction. Oops, okay. So there's a little typo here, but it's not a big deal. It was just not following the convention for fee per transaction. But that's something, it's not a big deal, right? So the validation is again doing the same thing. If it is greater than 0, good. If not, it throws an exception. And again, validate method is called both from the constructor and the set method. So if you look at the hierarchical diagram, everything is there. Like it explains what has to be done. Any method names that are the same means they have to be overridden. Like that's what overriding is. But still, I've given you things in writing. Like I've said a few things in writing. I've said, what do you do? What you shouldn't be calling overridable methods. You should be overriding it and so on. So all those things are written here in black and white, like text. So look at the diagram, see what the instructions are, and then do it. And you can't go wrong. You really cannot. As I said, it will take you a couple of hours to kind of, it should be polished, done everything in 4 or 5 hours. But it's not a half-hour job. It's not a half-hour job. It will take a little time and understanding of the concepts. But it's not huge, right? It's not huge. It's just straightforward. So just do it properly.
It's due Sunday?
It's due Sunday, I think. Yeah, I've asked Sunday. By Sunday, I should be able to mark your relational ones. Right? So I didn't ask before Sunday. I know I wouldn't. By Sunday, I should finish that off and give that back. And then this comes Sunday and I'll start marking it. Okay? So that's the aim. So do it steadily and correctly, and you can't go wrong. You cannot, believe me. It will take a little time. It will. And maximum, I'm saying 5 hours. But you have to know the concepts. That must be clear in your head. And I've said, and I repeat, it's in my assignment. If there is no inheritance, it's a 0. It's an assignment on inheritance. So I don't want you to write in 3 different classes doing what, and the testers will run. They will, right? Because like they will still run. But if inheritance is not used, the whole concept is lost. Okay? So I leave it to you. If you have any questions, you have till tomorrow to come and ask me. I thought I would just do a quick thing so that if you have seen it, if not, at least when you see it, you know what it is. Okay? I have given the option of letting you work in groups. I've just given it an option. It's not compulsory. Groups necessarily, I mean, it has not been a problem, but a couple of problems have arisen from the card game and from relational database, just a couple. So I didn't kind of make it. I wanted to, so that, again, I had less work to do, to be very truthful, marking, but I left it. I said, do it however you want to do it. So if you're working in groups, let me know so that I have an idea. And again, if you're working in groups, only one submission comes to me. One group member will submit it, and as many number of times as you like. Otherwise, it will be total confusion. Okay, and that rule holds. You've done you've done pairing before, so you know only one of you will submit your assignment, and you can do it as many number of times, but I'll only mark from one person. Okay, so there it is. As I said, you have till tomorrow. I'm here till 3 p.m. tomorrow. I finish at 2 and then I have an office hour. I could be here at 4. That doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. But if you have to come and see me and ask me anything, tomorrow is the last day. Okay, because there is not much I can explain on email, to be very truthful. Like everything is here in black and white. Okay, so that takes care of the last assignment of the semester. As per now, it is sitting at 15%. As per now, right? Before I mark it. It can't go less than 10 for sure. It won't go less than 10. But I'm hoping that if it is done well, I can give it 15. Okay, now today's agenda, what I'm trying to do today. I'm going to do a review plus also something new, right? So something you haven't seen before, we'll do something, and it will also act as a review for your final exam. As I was mentioning, the purpose of today, I'm going to write a tech support system. So it's a support system, technical support system, to which it's an online, like a non-human one, right? So you type in a question, the responder will look for the answer of that question in a database. For our case, it will be an array list. We'll pick up the answer and give it back to you. Sometimes keywords are not found. It's quite obvious, right? You are saying, how are you? And that's an artificial intelligence system on maybe computers. It has no clue of how are you kind of stuff. But then what happens is it just gives you some random answer back. So we'll also work with randomization again. You've seen it once in the card game, you will see it again today. Okay. So now what I've done is I am going to do it with you, but if time is short at the end or if I'm unable to complete it, I have also put it on Blackboard and then I'll just kind of go through it. But I would like to start it and show you a few things, how to use a hash set, what is a set and so on. Once you have that under your belt, then maybe I do 2 and I pick up 2 from Blackboard. So it is there. I think one of them is not yet complete, but you'll get it. But I'm not telling you to take it right away because I want to do it with you so that you can see what is the importance of each one of them, right? So the purpose is I'll create a input reader asking questions. I'll create a responder class, which is giving back responses. And then I'll create a support system that will take input from the reader and take the response from the responder and put it on the screen. So we'll kind of make all 3. So there is no is a relationship here, but definitely you will see has a relationship, right? So we know that has a relationship and is a relationship are 2 relationships that exist in Java classes. So I'll be creating 3 and the tester, of course, 3 classes, and these 3 classes will interact with each other. Okay, and I'll also introduce you to the set and the maps of hash set and hash map. You can kind of think of it like this. We have in collections we have list. You've seen an example, array list. Then we have sets. You have a hash set, you have a tree set, right? Those are another type of collection. And then you have maps. Maps, hash map, tree maps are all maps. They're all collections, but the difference, there is a subtle difference in all 3. For example, a set will only have unique values. An array list can have duplicate values, right? So a set is different from a list, from an array list because it can only have unique values. A map, like the name suggests map, each element has a pair of values, a key and a value. So if you want to do something like student number and marks, you would put it in a hash map. You wouldn't put it in an array list because with each student you have associated a number and marks, right? Or something like what you did in your midterm. So student and marks, patient and weights, you can do that stuff here, right? And again, so you have key value pairs and you search the hash map on the key and you find a value and you can return it back. So again, 2 new classes. We'll go through very quickly whatever I need. I'll go through the Java API. And so the idea is that if you see a new class in the final exam, then you should know how to use it, right? You should know the concept. So array list, you've done a few for sure. We'll do hash set and hash map today. Not very different. They have the same kind of concepts, adding values, deleting values, removing them. The name of the methods could be different. Size of it, does it contain it? All the same kind of methods. All these are inheriting or implementing the same interfaces. So they have the same methods, same helper methods, right? And once you have that idea, I've said before, in Java, there are two main things you have to understand: to write your own code, definitely, but also to use the Java API. It's as important because you don't want to reinvent the wheel in object-oriented programming. The whole concept of object-oriented programming, when it was introduced a couple of decades back, was reuse of data, right? So that you didn't have to write it. So if you need a sorting algorithm, it's present. You need a searching algorithm, it's present. You need a collection, a class is present. There's so many ways of using what's already available. So Java is about using the Java API, which is growing beautifully, right? And also writing your own code. So that's kind of a balance you have to maintain. Almost 50-50% is what I would say. Okay. Okay, so let's start. So you can create a new project. So as I said, I'll start because I want to give a few things, and then depending upon time, I can say, okay, now we'll pick it up from Blackboard. So you can call it whatever you like. I'll just call it tech support system. Oh, okay. Oh, in my personal one. Okay, so let me put it in your, today's Thursday. There it is. And we finish. Okay, so is this the one? Okay, so definitely please be kind enough to, hopefully I've done that too. So the tech support system, the one that by default gives you, it gives you a kind of a tester, right? So we don't need it right away, and when we will use it. Now let's start. So as I said, I'm going to create a kind of a very mini artificial intelligence system in which answers are already available in an array list. I'll use a hash map and an array list, both of them. And then keywords are given. These keywords are what you're inputting as your question. And once, and the responder will look for those keywords in the array list or hash map, finds an answer, gives it to you, doesn't find an answer, gives you a random answer. That's how it is working, right? So we'll start creating our first class, and we'll create a new class called input reader. The job of the input reader, as the name suggests, will be to take input from the user. I'll just take it from the screen, like from the keyboard, like that's how you ask questions. And then I'll do a few things with it. One, when you give a question, it's a sentence, right? My first job will be, since I have to look for keywords, my first job will be that I'll have to break this sentence into words. And you can break them. There could be commas in between, blanks or whatever. So we'll have to think of what could be these delimiting characters, and we'll create a set out of it, and then we'll use it. That any of these. We'll also work with regular expression, very simple regular expression again today using the string class, right? In the string class. And then once it breaks it up into words, I will also remove common words from it, prepositions of, in, the, and those are useless, right? Those are not keywords. What is left, I will give it to the responder. The responder will look for those keywords in its database, and then will get back an answer to you, right? So that's the whole cycle. So this input reader is basically only going to take input from the user. Okay, so again, I'll kind of not emphasize today on comments again, just because of shortage of time, but we'll go from what we want. So as I said, you can improve it to whatever level you want. This is what I've done, but again, if you ask questions, I can improve it. So definitely I want a private scanner here, the private scanner object. Oops. You can call it whatever you like. I've called it reader, right? So as soon as you say scanner, remember it's util. So you could start with Java util. We'll be using a few of these classes from the util package, but it depends on you, whatever you want. So I need a scanner. Okay, I want to work with the scanner. Also, as I said, as I go on, I'll kind of give my ideas, and you're most welcome to add your own ideas to it. So what we need is the constructor now. And this constructor basically takes nothing, because I only have one instance variable, and the main, what did I forget now? Oh, input. Okay, thanks. Oh God. Okay, so I did that there too. So that means I have to make the change here to rename, refactor. Cannot refactor, like, come on, cannot refactor library. Why is that now? All I'm saying is rename it, right? So in refactor, did I go to something else? Rename. Okay, there it is, input reader. Oh, I think when I made a change there, it made it, no, it didn't. That's strange, okay. Why isn't it doing it? I said make a change and it said done. That's really strange. Maybe I can change it after I change, but that doesn't make sense.
It's like kind of like left click on the title.
Yeah, on the title and do a rename, but it isn't allowing me to do it.
But no, you don't even have to like refactor. Just kind of like left click once on it.
Okay, left click once. Okay. No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that way. Oh, I see what you mean. Just a normal way of doing it. Okay, I see. I'm thinking of some other window will come up. Okay, now input reader looks fine. Okay. Okay, that's quite a bit of thing in doing a reordering. Oh, is that the maximum you will go? Oh, well. Okay, so all we have to do here is basically create a new scanner object, right? Oh, and keyboard.in is, no, system.in. I haven't used a scanner for a while. Right, so that's all you do. You associate your scanner with the keyboard. So you go system.in. There is a system.in. You have used system out so many times, and the system.err. These are the default ones. So keyboard, output, display, and then errors also go on your output window. Right. Okay, so that's what we will do. Now there are, as I said, the main job of this reader is to read the input, one, and then split it into words. That's what its job is, right? That's what all it does. So I'm going to use a public method that is going to return a hash set. Something you haven't seen before, but as I said, a hash map. No, this is a set because I'm only giving back words. A hash set is a collection of unique values. And it is a collection of objects. So for me, since each word is a string, I'll say it is a hash set of strings. As you can return array list, you can return a hash set from a method, right? You can call it whatever you like, just so that I match it with the one that I've put on Blackboard. It's called get input. So this method is going to take input from the user using the scanner, split it into words, create a hash set of it. Why couldn't I just create an array list? Because I don't want duplicate words, right? And then return it. That's all it does. Okay, so let's write a normal. So let's take a input variable. Oh, okay. Headset is also in the util, I think, right? Yep. Let's take a local input line. Again, you have to be careful. What should be instance variables and what should be local variables? You just don't put everything as instance variables. You have to think about, do I need it or don't I need it? And maybe with scanner, actually, the reader, I could have just made, no. Can I make it static? Can I make it a class variable? Every object needs its own scanner object. Yes, it does. Okay. Okay, so let's take the input from the user. And again, we'll kind of use what you've been using before. I just use a print here instead of println because I want to keep it in the same line. Println will take the cursor to the next line. So you can say question please or something like this, whatever you like. You don't have to put the arrow or whatever. You can do something like this, whatever works for you. So this is something, again, if there is no message on the screen, the user has no idea what to do. So always see that you have messages. Okay, so this will just say it will just say a message on the screen. Take your input line, take your reader object, and use the method next line. There it is, to get input from your keyboard. You've seen this before. Scanners you must have done for sure, right? So all you do is you just say, give me a line. So anything that till the user presses the enter key, it will be read and put into input line. Now comes the next job. Now comes the job of splitting up this line into words, right? And now words can be separated by a blank, of course. You could have a question mark, a comma, and so on and so forth. So how do I split it? Now, when you split it, you have to put it somewhere. So I'll put it in a string array because there is this method that will do it for me. I don't have to do it at all. Like I don't have to think of the logic. So you will need a string array to start with. We'll convert it into a, what do I want to call it? Just so that word array. You can call it whatever you like. Here, right? And now take your input line and use the split method. There's a regular expression. Okay, I'll show you both things. So now if I only wanted to split it on blank, this is how I would say it. Right? This is how I would say it. Just split it on blanks. But there was an option of giving a regular expression. You say, what if I see a question mark, or I see a comma, I see a colon? Like there could be so many things that you want to split in, right? So instead of a blank, I can put a whole set here. This is how you do it using a regular expression. And if you go to the split method, actually, see, you can split it on a regular expression. What does it do? Splits this string around matches of the given regular expression. That's what it does. So anywhere where it will find whatever you say, if you say, oh, I want to split it on a blank, I want to split it on a comma, I want to split it on a semicolon, anything that you can think when you write English grammar, anything that you can think that two words are separated by, you can put it in your regular expression, right? So I'll create a regular, I could have only used a blank and it would have worked. I mean, but it will only split at blanks then. So what I'm doing is, since I have the option, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a regular expression here. If you remember, this is how we do it, and the plus says 1 or more times, or 0 or more, I forget. I think 1 or more times here. So I'm saying if you see a blank, so for the blank, I'm just going blank, space bar, right? If you see a comma, if you see a question mark, if you see an exclamation mark, if you see a colon, if you see a semicolon, like think of whatever you can think of as word separators in a sentence. Just fill them up here. So what is it saying? If you find one or any of, like you could have blank, 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 blank. That will also act as a blank. Therefore, that plus sign, one or more blanks, okay? One or more question marks together. So anywhere, wherever these symbols will be found, it will split on that. That's what it will do. After it splits it, it will automatically put it in an array. You'll say, no magic? No, of course not magic. Look at its return type. The return type is a string array. There is no magic anywhere. All you have to do is you have to read the documentation, right? And of course, maybe we didn't know about this split method, Google it. That's how you will learn, right? So it's returning a string array. I know it returns a string array, and therefore I used a string array on the left-hand side, right? Now I have the words. Now what I want to do is I want to convert these words into a hash set. Why? So that duplicate words can be removed. You don't need to look for duplicate words. Like it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like if the same word is acting 3 times in your, my system crashed. The crash could have been due to, it has crashed these many times. Like what's the sense of putting the crashed word 10 times in your code? So what you can do is you can do it manually if you like, but there is a better way of doing it. So I'll show you the manually first. I'll say, okay, now start picking up one word at a time from your array, and then keep them in another hash set. So take one word at a time from your word array. I mean, I'm doing this manually, but again, I'll show you, oh, there is a better way of doing it. Right? I'm saying take one word at a time, pick it up on it. That's your enhanced for loop, and create a hash set here. Oh. Create a hash set here. Say that each hash set element will be a string. What would you like to call it? Words. And again, a local one will do because I just need it here. And now you don't have to put the word string again. I just do it out of practice, and then it gives me a warning. Once you've said it is a set of strings, you don't have to put the string word here again. You could. NetBeans gives a problem, not a problem, it gives a warning. So why not? Okay, so what do we want to do? We pick up one word at a time from my word array, and then all I do is I add it to the hash set. So that means if there is an add method that is available in array list, is there an add method available in a hash set also? Let's try it. Right, seems like there is. Usually they'll match. It will be either an add or a put. Put is another one you will see that is there, but add and those are the two common ones. And you'll say, what if I don't know? Open up the documentation, right? That's all you do. And you want to add a word to it because remember we said it was a hash set of strings. So this is what I want to do. Pick up one word at a time and add it to the words hash set. You'll say, what do you do? All you've done is taken from one and put in the other. But what has happened in this process is duplicates have been removed. When it adds it to the hash set, it will not add a word of the same type. Same, not type, the same word. It won't. So I've created a unique list of words. And you say, that doesn't matter. How does it matter? You know what? We are talking about search engines here. We don't want to give it more than what is required. So this is one way of doing it, manual. But so if you want to keep a note, so why is this being done? You're going to create a unique. That's the main advantage, a unique set of words. But while I was doing this, I had a warning from NetBeans and it said manual copy. There are other ways of doing it. So I went Alt and Enter. And it says, why don't you replace it with the collections.addAll method? Why do you even do this word? You don't have to do it. We already do it for you. So I said, okay, good. So I kind of looked it up, right? And there it is. It did it for me. Oh, it actually replaced it also. So what I'm going to do is, just to show you, I'll keep it there. So I'll keep it there and I'll add it here. Pasted code refers to the following, not important, and include them. Okay. Okay. So this is another, and therefore it is a better way. What do I have? One less. Why do I have a squiggly here? 4 has ended here.
There's no return.
Oh, that's why. That's what it's complaining. Okay, we are not yet done. It's okay. Here. So that's another way of doing it. So what did you do? You said words was a hash set. There is an add all method that comes from the collections class, which is implementing the collection interface. Now that you know implementation and inheritance, when you read API, also keep that in mind, right? And all it does is it converts this word array, which was a list for it, using the as list method. It is a static method. Notice how it is in italics. So it is a static method of the arrays class and it put it here. Why would I do it manually? Yes.
I'm getting the error with word array inside of my Ansible loop.
Is it here?
Yeah, did you find it somewhere else?
Yeah, here, no, that's here. I've defined it right here.
I did the exact same thing.
What is it saying?
Variable word array cannot find symbol.
Cannot find symbol.
Yes, it's exactly the same thing though. Word for word.
Oh, word to word spelling mistake. Can't happen, right? It's always us. It's always the programmers. Okay, so if it says cannot find symbol, it cannot find it. So what I'll do is I'll kind of put this, now that you understand, we can put it here. So again, why would I do it? You know what I mean? Like, why would I do it? There's another way, just because I did it another way. I'm not sure if I have it. Yeah, there was another way I did it. I said, this is all another way you can do it. I mean, I'm using the same thing, but I'm using a different way of doing it. I said, I used casting. I knew. This is another way you can do it. Since it is a cast. I'm using the same method, but in a different way. When it gave me the hint, I thought maybe I could try another way of doing it. Same thing. Same thing, but definitely this one is much better because like it just, there's no assignment. But what I did in this one is I took the arrays as list method. Since the arrays as list method thus returns a list, I had to cast it into a hash set and then I put it into words. But I found that the first one, the hint that it gave me was much better. I mean, it's more straightforward, not better. I would say straightforward. You can choose either, whatever you like. Just because I had this, I thought I would let you know. So like a normal programmer, you would say, oh, I want to convert it into a hash set. And that's what I did. So you will see that I'll get unique sets, unique words. That's the whole advantage. My word is ready. My hash set is ready. Now all I have to do is I have to return it. And it was called words. There it is. And just so that we see it. I mean, otherwise, how will we know? I won't keep it. I'll remove it afterwards. You can just kind of show those words here. I'll give it a heading so that we know. It's better to always, I mean, this is only for kind of a debugging purpose. It won't be neat or anything, but I mean, I just want to see the words and I want to show you the words, right? Now, the regular expression thing, which was a little interesting to find out, yeah, you could also split it on a regular expression. Now, the second thing I thought was, if I could remove the prepositions, the common words from this list, it would be good too. I'm again reducing my keywords. Like I said, the, is, on, so I said, what are prepositions? What are the common prepositions? So I went and Googled it. Under, over, like those are like there was a long list. But we know, of course, the common ones. So I said, if I could remove them from this hash set, then what I return will be much better, like much smaller. Less keywords means faster entry, right? So to kind of think about that, I tried this and it seemed to work, except that I forgot to kind of put it. So what I did was I took another hash set here. I mean, it could have been a, and you know what? Now I don't remember it, but we'll definitely. I had to create in the process. It wouldn't let me do it any other way. I had to create a string array. I called it prepositions or common words. You can call it whatever. I called it I mean, it's just common words, and I created an array out of it. And remember, if I say new and I say string array, I can't leave it empty. Like I have to give a number here. I can't leave this empty. That's what an array is. Array is of a fixed size. But if I initialize it right here, I said something like the. And then, oh, you know what I should do? Because I'm using all lowercase. I'm going to convert it all lowercase. On. Because words in. Like I'm just putting some common words here. What else? As. Like it could be a whole list. I'm just stopping it here. I created an array of common words because that was the only way I could do it. I don't know if there is another better way of doing it. And then I created a hash set. Can't call it the same thing. Commons. Let's call it commons. And there was a way of converting. Get now. As list. Yeah, on the input line here. I can do this arrays dot as list, and I said take my common words here, and then I convert it into a something doesn't look nice. Or doesn't it like? I forget now how I initialized it. Incompatible. Incompatible types. Okay, now I know why incompatible types, because it's a. There are other ways of doing it, but this is something I found. Not found. I mean, I figured out. It still doesn't like it. What do I have forgotten? How did I do it? I must have put it somewhere. I can't remember now. All I'm doing is I'm putting, I was trying to initialize a hash set and I couldn't initialize it like straight like I do here. So I put it in an array and then I said convert it into a, what am I missing? Logically, it looks fine.
On the next line, where you're putting it into the variable.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. No, I'm not doing that. I'm trying to create a hash set of common words is what I'm trying to do. Yeah, on this one, I should do that too. So what should I do here is when you do a next line, when you read a next line, we can right here, we can do a trim here. And then we can do, what would we want to do? To lowercase? We can do that right here. That is something I thought of afterwards. Trim is a method. There. So when you take input, I've converted everything into lowercase. But what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to create a set of common words, like prepositions, the, on, in, and then I'll subtract this from the real list. Give me a minute. I have done this. The only thing is, what is it giving me? It's still saying the same thing. Incompatible types. List object cannot be converted to hash set. But I've done a casting now. Yeah. No, but that's an array. I wanted to give it a different name. I can't give the same word here, right? Oh, I see what you mean. I forgot to which one to convert it into. Oops, there it is. Convert the common words into a hash set. Without input, what is it converting? How silly is that? Good, thank you. Right? So my aim was, I don't know if you find it or if you can think of it, if you've used it before. I was trying to do an initialization like this right here, like with a new, like we do it in array. It didn't work. It said first you have to make an array and then you have to convert it into a hash set. So I have to do it in 2 lines. Now, what is the use of this? The use of this is once I have my common words, I'll remove it from my words. That way I don't have these common words. And that was simple. So before you return it and before I even show it, this is all I did. I said words and there was a remove all method. There it is, remove all method. And I removed everything from, what was it called? Commons. What am I left with? I'm left with keywords. unique keywords. So I only put the on is, you can fill up that set to whatever you want, right? I mean, that depends on you. So the logic here was, again, just trying to improve the logic. So the logic here was create a hash set. You know what? Why do I even put it in a hash set? When I use the remove all method, can I remove it from an array? Let's see what the remove all method does. Oh, it takes any collection. It takes any collection. So if it takes any collection, why do this double job? I mean, there is no sense of putting it in a hash set. Do you see what I mean? I can just use the common words arrays. I can just use common words. Can't I? Let's see logically. Oh, doesn't like it. No suitable method found for remove all string array. Oh, so string array is not a collection. I thought an array would also be count as a collection. No, it doesn't. I could have used an array list. Okay, we'll stay with this then. Just because I'm using hash set, I'll stick to hash set. You could have used an array list also. The advantage of using a hash set will be by chance. No, you're not, nobody's stupid, but we all make mistakes. By chance, if I put the word the again for whatever reason, then it will only occur once in the comments. That's the only advantage. And because I'm doing hash set today, why not stick to hash set? I could have used an array list. Array list definitely is a collection. Arrays is not a collection. We just found out a string array is not a collection. I thought that was also under the class of collection. So just to show you, right? So again, you can add whatever you like. Anything that is common which doesn't make sense. Like is a common. We don't want to search for in a database. You know what I mean? Like under, over, all what you like. So at the end of the day, the first thing also keep in mind, I've trimmed everything to lowercase. I've taken my input and I've trimmed it, extra brackets, extra blanks have been removed, and I've converted into uppercase, so that when I look for the word the in small or on or in, all those are in lowercase. I mean, I don't have to then care of, oh, you have to do a case sensitive search and so on. So when I take input, I convert it into all lowercase before I search for it. That makes my life a little easier. So try to save wherever you can. Save code and do the best you can. So now, what does the input reader do? Take input from the user till the user presses the enter key, splits it into words, creates a unique set of it, and removes the common words out of it, and then returns it to whoever will call it. Whoever will call it. So that's the job of the input reader. Right? So as I say, you could have used an array list, but I'll just stick to hash set just for today. To show you that when these common words are converted into commons, the word the will only occur once. So if you make a mistake like this, you are still kind of taking care of it. Just to show you, that's it, right? So when you form it, and you can always print it. If you want, you can print it here just to show it to you so that you realize that it is being done. We'll remove it afterwards. That will prove to you that a hash set is a unique collection of objects. Unique, whatever objects they are, doesn't matter. I'm using strings. So I'll say commons here. I'll show you. What was it? It was called commons, right? Yeah. This is a ln. We are okay. Go to a new line.
No, I meant like go to the /n after commons.
No.
You have commons and then.
No, the ln automatically goes to the new line. System. The difference is there for the this will not go to a new line, but this will automatically go to a new line. We don't need it there. Okay, so my class is ready. Doesn't seem like it has any syntax errors, but to run it, I either need a test class or I can quickly put it in BlueJ and do it, and it will work. But the other classes are not very huge, so we can do it together. Okay. Now, what I want you to do, again, to save time, because it's a lot of typing, please get from Blackboard. It's just a lot of typing, nothing else. So on Blackboard under weekly learning, you will find the tech support system.zip under weekly learning. So the input reader was not complete. I did more things to it, right? But the responder is complete, and so is actually the system one. Bring both of them, then the system one is not so simple. Responder has a lot of typing in it. So I don't want to do that typing. Get it and paste it here. So let me also get it from my personal, somewhere in my personal package it should be. It's called responder, okay? And then bring it here into your own and we'll open it, and then I'll go through it, and you'll realize why I made you copy it. So what is the responder now? The responder is that class definition which is going to respond, give you a response, right? So logically, if you think what should it do? It should take the keyword from the input reader. I've already given it keywords. It will take that hash set. It will start looking for that words in its database. And now this is how I have created my database. As I haven't done the database, which you will do in your advanced course. But what I've done is this. So before we look at code, understand what I have done. So the responder is working with two data structures. One, a hash map, and one, an array list, of which you've worked quite a few times. Okay, so what is it doing in the hash map? A hash map is a data structure in Java in which every element is a paired element, a key and a value. They're actually called K and V, for key and value. So for example, suppose I was giving you example of my names and marks. So in this, what it will do is, it will create a hash map, and in each hash map entry, this is what it will do. It will put a keyword like crash. And then it will create an answer for it. Oh, can you tell me why did it crash? Something like that, an answer. Then it will put something like system. Any common words that are common for that tech support system, right? The artificial intelligence system won't have words like medical terms because we are talking about a tech support system. So these keywords will all be technical words. And then there will be some value related to it. What is your operating system, or something like operating system? What is the operating system? And so on and so forth. So it will create a few of these in a hash map, right? So a hash map is basically a collection of key value pairs. That's what it is. Any objects. I've taken both to be strings, but it could be any objects. And if you wanted to find out, oh, what's the answer for crash? You can say, get me crash, and it will give you the value for crash. That's how the get method works. To put something into a hash map, you use put instead of add. That's how it is different. But it's a data structure. A data structure means something in which you can put data. It's a structure. So every element of a hash map has a key value pair. And I'm almost positive that the key should be unique, can only occur once. I don't know. I'll have to double check the API. And just so that you know, it's just out of the way, you can also put if it is a string or if it is any object, you can also make the value null. Like you can use the reserved word null also for it. So if you don't have an answer or something, or you don't have a partner, you can put the word null for your information, because when we find it, you'll see that null answer can come into this. So I'll create this. This will be my database, kind of. This will be, so when I pick up the words from the input reader, I'll say, oh, crash, this is the answer I'll give back. It may happen, on the other hand, it may happen that I cannot find the keyword, but that doesn't mean the artificial intelligence system will not give you an answer back. It has to tell you something, right? Can you explain it further, or sorry, I didn't understand it, something. So for that, what I'll do is I'll create an array list in which I'll keep some random answers, just some random answers. So if I can't find it in my database, if I can't find a reply in my database, I'll pick one of these randomly and give it back. I have to say something, right? Sometimes it's like your Siri on your phones, right? If it doesn't understand anything, it says, sorry, I did not understand what you mean. Same kind of concept. Okay, so because remember, we are not talking to humans, we are talking to a machine. So if you're talking to a machine, it may happen that you don't find your keyword. The chances are low, because when an artificial system is created and an artificial intelligence system is created, it is created like you can't go wrong kind of stuff. But still, putting a random answers, something that goes back randomly, is something that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it should be there. You should always take care of it. So something is there, right? So these are the two data structures. So a database kind of containing the keywords and the answers, and another database which just has some random phrases in it. So if I can't find it here, I'll pick one of them randomly from here and throw it back. So these are the two data structures I'll use in my responder. And what does the responder do? The logic is simple, gets the words from the input read. The system will do it, of course, but the responder will get these words, will look for the first word, doesn't find it, second word, if it doesn't find any of the words in that set, then it will pick up a random answer from there and give it back. If it finds a word in this database, it will give you the corresponding answer. That's its job. Right? So that's the job of your artificial intelligence system. So as I said, a very mini artificial intelligence system, but that's the logic behind it. Same with your search engines. What do your search engines do? When you type in something in your bar, the search bar, it picks up those, removes anything that's common or whatever, or repeated, it does that, and then goes into its database and tries to look for an answer. And spits out all the matches that match with it. So the same kind of concept, right? So what I have done here is, I want to show you these two data structures before I go through this here. So this is my first one. I have filled them up in a method called fill response map. It's a method because it's a private method. So notice what I have done. I've put the word crash, for example, and then I've said, well, it never crashes on our system. It must have something to do on your configuration. This backslashes and are just so that you could see the answers. Okay. The second one says crashes. Well, it never crashes. Same thing. This one says slow. I think this has to do with your hardware. Upgrading your processor should solve all performance issues. So I've just picked up some silly things and I've put it here. Performance. Performance was quite adequate in all our tests. Are you running any other processes? So just random bug. Well, you know, very hard to fix them. Can you describe the problem a bit further? So I just put some keywords and I just put some answers there. So this is my response map. You don't have to call it. I just, what did I do? Okay, right? So I just wrote a method, fill response map, which I'll call from my constructor to fill up my map. I mean, you don't have to call it response map, but the mapping just says, oh, you're mapping a word with a key. So they are called key value pairs, right? And also I created another method, which was just putting random answers in it. And it's called fill something. There, fill default responses. Another method, what it is doing is it is just kind of putting strings into a array list. I don't have to put anything else, just some random answers. So fill response map, default responses is an array list, and the other one is a hash map. So I've used these two data structures and I filled them up. Right? So my database is ready, like your database would be ready. Okay, I'll give you a break in 2 minutes, okay? Now let's go back to the constructor, just to show you the constructor. What does the constructor do? So here is my hash map. Notice how I define it. It's a hash map string, comma string. It could be any objects. Again, if you just go here, go to the Java docs, it will come up. Notice how it says KV, it's called key value pairs. The type of keys maintained by this map, the type of mapped values. And somewhere you will see that V can be null. It can be null also. And then it kind of describes you a little bit things here. It tells you about the constructors. It tells you about the methods, clear, clone. See, some of them are common. Contains, get is for your getting, normal get. Instead of add, I think this one has put. You can also get the returns a set view of the keys contained in this map. So there are many methods that can come handy. So key set means each key will only occur once. So that means keys can be non-unique. It also has a put all also. So you can put all values from another array, another collection. Here is the size. We've seen size so many times. Here is the remove. We know about these methods. So methods are available. It's not that they're not available. So this is my first data structure that I'll use, in which I just showed you how I put in key value pairs. And this is the second data structure I will use, which is a normal array list, in which again I showed you how I put in values. And then I need a random generator for randomly picking up an answer. No? So these are my 3 instance variables that I need. So I didn't want to type all that in, right? So therefore I wanted you to pick this up. All we do in the constructor is we create the response map, we create the default response, and we call the 2 private methods to fill it up. And the secure. So all new, and then 2 filling up. Right? We'll take a break here and then we'll come and complete this. Okay. So it's maybe another hour and we'll be done. So if there is anything with the assignment, I can help out if you worked on it. We should be done with this. 20 minutes, 2:30. Yeah, none of them are supposed to. They will give error messages, but not.
Yeah. So. Given the exception I asked you for, I'm just not sure why I'm getting there.
See, yes, so it's giving an exception that I was also getting the exception, right? Credit amount must be greater than 0.
So, but this test is still failing.
What do you mean by this? What is failing means?
The test is not passing, so it should be green, and then like you see here.
Because do you think that's how it shows it on yours?
This is Jacoco or Jacoco
For what?
intelligent.
In intelligence. That's what I'm saying. Does that do that in intelligence that it fails the test?
I don't know. When I ported this over to NetBeans and ran the exact same thing, I got the same results for tests, but I got errors with my checking and saving account, which is really weird.
That has a different test, you know that, right? Checking account and but whatever you give me.
No. So. Okay. This is why it's so frustrating.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I was saying. The testing ones were okay. Whatever problems you had, I had the same problem.
It's just but yeah, in this case, I'm just running the account test, just against account.
Yes.
So
I'm not sure if this is, it says fail for you because you're using IntelliJ, yeah.
So recent project.
In mine it will say errors, it won't say failures.
So when you run your tester in NetBeans, did you have to run something specific for the coverage, or is it?
No, we run it, go to your the package and do a right click to the main package, yeah, and do a, the main project side, and do a right click.
Like main
project, yeah. Main project, the first one.
Okay.
No, the first one, the top one, yeah, do a right click, and it should be tested with J.
NetBeans doesn't really like to move particularly quickly. Yeah, so I'm failing even more here. It could be because it's testing all of them rather than just the account.
You have it. Okay, so it says two stream is not tested. The rest look okay. No, debit and credit not all tested.
Which is odd.
Which is odd. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe with credit and debit was just doing an amount, right?
So I'll show you my account class. See if anything just.
We use these tests were passed. Come down wherever it shows red. Okay, so it says. Return. What is it? Return.
So
it's a return. Yeah. It says this has not been checked.
Okay, so fix that. It's another string.
Oh, okay, so you had something wrong in it. Okay.
Maybe I have string, which is format this.
Okay, so that's the first percentage S.
Yeah.
Why are we going to do
percentage N because I wanted you said to break it.
Yeah, I know, but the account number has to come before the percentage. Right? So the first percentage S is for this account number. Okay, and then that's for the second account. Now put a percentage in after the second percentage S. Okay, now where we go? We again have a percentage S.
Another one here.
Yeah, because for this message, account balance. And then we have a dollar sign. Yeah, okay.
Which is dollar sign and then display to the. Okay. So.
And you don't need all these extra blanks here because otherwise you'll have blanks here, but you can look at that afterwards.
Okay. So.
What is? Now it says this is something that wasn't checked. In the debit one, what are we doing? 3 tests. Okay, debit has 3 of them.
You said 3. You want a different error message for each.
So if amount is greater than 0, I think equal to, I can't remember now, but anyway, it is less, it is okay. Else, if the amount is less than equal to 0, it says you haven't checked this. Which is
if amount is greater than account balance. So the logic is sound. It's not incorrect.
You could just send me your account and I can try it, but yeah, that looks okay to me.
Okay. So and
then the same thing here, right?
If amount is less than or equal to 0, credited amount must be greater than 0. So
You do know that you don't have to write your ifs again. You've already said if amount is greater than 0, then the only possibility is it is less than equal to 0. You're doing extra work here. You know that. That code is not efficient. It's redundant. You've already said if amount is greater than 0. So what is the other option? It is less than or equal to 0. So you don't have that. Same way here, okay? Keep that in mind. But you can do that. I mean, this
yeah. Okay, so in that case.
That also looks okay to me.
Yeah, so like I said, this, so if we go back here and test again after changing.
All we changed was the string format, right?
And we removed
that was
the condition, but that should
that's
change
not logic.
anything.
Yeah, that's just not good code, but logically it was okay.
That's not what's the page.
Okay, just say
So
that debit
misprint.
something is not happening. Let's look at it maybe. I'm not reading it right.
So.
And you can always remove all this by saying these.
So in this case, just like all I did to fix credit apparently was that.
Oh, it doesn't like a condition. Oh, it thinks there's another else coming after it, maybe, right?
That maybe.
But that's really silly, right?
Yeah, because like all the other IDs, even like Eclipse, which I hate using, is like.
But in the last one, you usually don't give the condition, but that's because you don't have to.
It's
Yeah.
the catch-all condition, yeah.
It isn't like when you do things extra. Oh, that's not.
Oh, God.
That's not bad, I would say.
I hate that. It's a hard choice.
It's telling you, don't do it.
So we have to pitch. What? Andrew fucking up. Hash maps and interest and laughing to each other because we know that we're sitting here for hundreds of dollars. Yay! Yeah, she's building a tech support system. It's already on Blackboard, but she wants to go through it. Since I actually build AIs, also this is an AI system. Stick that for it, but basically, so he could take an input, in this case off the keyboard, type it in. It would sort of common words using a combination of array list and hash sets. And that would relativize your answers. But I don't think she's going to do the logic for creating relative percentage from matches. That.
Did you properly get it on YouTube?
Recorded? I hope it's not recorded now. Andrew is Will, and I hate you.
Mm-hmm.
And he would, yeah, I guess take that.
In this class? Exams are next week.
With this class too?
Every class.
Yeah, might wanna, I'll probably end up doing Sunday night study, which I'm gonna do the whole time, so you must know kids looking for running.
How was today's class?
Just going over hash maps. There's one new exam, I think she said she's going to, I don't know if it's going to be hash maps or some other form of collection we haven't seen yet. We're going to have to use the API to figure out how it works. Yeah. That's why I'm listening to this in case it is hash maps. Wait, hash maps is going to be on the exam. I don't know. I thought she said that she's going to put on a type of collections that we haven't seen yet. We have to use the API to figure it out.
How did you put something on the game?
I don't know. I found that confusing.
Something like.
Right. Do you guys know how much she gets for it? I think she said 20%.
It's most exams.
Yeah, I thought it was for 30 actually.
I was almost expecting 30.
Yeah.
So we haven't done 100% anything.
Yeah, I thought this course was 60 for passing 30%, passing 40% science.
But apparently we didn't have time to do that. For a mixture of reasons.
Wow.
sourcing is German because I had to fix co-op shit.
Yeah.
I didn't take the co-op out. The co-op course.
Oh, the whole course, you take the whole course? Oh, fun.
I took a reduced course of the first semester
Yeah.
because that's what the lady in the learn who just go talk to the lady study or whatever. She said, "Oh, don't worry about this. Just do e-sport." Like, okay.
Oh, that's like horrible advice. That was like one of the most important ones. You can't give it off without it. Although, don't feel too bad. I took it next door, not the whole year.
So I'm taking, instead of doing that, I'm taking my,
Where were you?
I had to deal with co-op stuff. If you don't talk to her, and if you don't have co-op, I got my third semester is going to be my fall semester instead of co-op.
Like, you started second year in the fall?
Starts third year in fall. Or, yeah, sorry.
Second year, first semester in the fall, yeah. I'm not doing that.
On Tuesday.
No thanks.
In the Google class.
I need a break from homework. Yeah.
Like,
Like, I got a co-op interview tomorrow, and I go to the hospital, I might get that, because I know somebody in there. But if not, they work full time to me, so don't care, come back next week.
You got any like call back?
Yeah, I've had 2 interviews. My second interview is tomorrow. The first one was Media Suite, which was not paid, that Rick had. Yeah, so I just went with the experience, like, I wasn't even accepting anything, not paid. I mean, I had that, I got the one in Aurelia at the hospital, which is closer right in, so. It's just an IT position.
The only one that I applied for was one to work on the website at college. The only one that I applied for that close.
Like, I think that had been listed.
Will they accept IT as like a valid co-op?
Apparently,
It's in
yeah.
Orbis, I got the interview through Orbis.
A lot of the IT ones say computer programming, why, I don't know.
Yeah, because we don't really learn any technical.
Well, there's one posted right now for a power stream, and I think they said the pay is like 900 a week.
You know the repair? You know anything about like computer repair?
Like, not advanced, no.
No, I'm not
Just
saying
personal
advanced.
experience,
You
like,
know how to wipe a computer or format
Yeah,
a computer?
yeah.
Things like that.
yeah, but they're more looking like setting up printers in the hospital, some simple troubleshooting, that's what, so I just applied for it, like, whatever, if I don't get it, I'm not buttered about it, just.
They're gonna be dealing with
Trying
people
to get
who like have their caps lock key on and they can't sign it and stuff like that.
I know, like, the volunteers at the hospital, they can't, that are older, they can't figure it out.
You live in this area.
I live in Rama. So going to Aurelia is like 15 minutes versus coming to
Yeah.
Barrie or Toronto. But I already like had my mindset on that I wasn't getting a co-op, and I was like, whatever,
Yeah.
I'll just work full time until next year.
Yeah.
I'm getting a puppy anyway. I work 5 minutes down the road, so I can come home, let him out. I need the 4 months off. I don't want to go to school.
They said to register and then keep applying like into September and shit.
Yeah.
Because I think you only have to do, I don't think you have to work the entire time we're off to have it count as a co-op. You only have to work a certain amount of days.
Yeah, because when I got the media suite and it was unpaid, they said they would accommodate my other job, so that I get paid. So I talked to Rita, I was like, so can I work there part-time? She's like, yeah. So you don't have to work the full 500 hours.
How much is it, 500?
If you work full-time, it's around 520 hours.
Think about it if you want to, but Best Buy Barrie has a geek slot position open. I'll give you a reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I
Does
know.
that count?
Well, if IT counts. The only reason I'm not doing it because it's my job right now. I just want to get the fuck out. 'Cause I do it. I want to get some other experience.
You work at
Yeah.
Squad at Best Buy?
Yeah.
They get horrible reviews all the time.
Oh yeah, as soon as they fucking put idiots all the time.
Do
They get that way.
People are like, 'cause they
Well,
get, like,
a lot of times
one-star
we're in a jam, and they'll take somebody from the sales floor who knows how to sell a product, and be like, what, you could probably figure it out. I run Brian's tech school in the back, and you just teaching people who don't know dick about anything how to fix machines. And like, yeah, they could probably set up a new computer or whatnot, but the amount of times where you could like see people wipe out customers' data or just like going around with stuff and short people's computers and shit like that, I see it all the time.
I watched one of those undercover reports or whatever on the CBC.
Yeah.
They went around to computer repair places, and I think in East One was one of the first ones.
Yeah, just because of the size of it and the volume, like they aren't really paying dick, so you're not gonna get like.
Yeah. Well, the computer repair business is like.
It's not out. That's why I'm getting out. That's why I'm in this whole course. And like,
It was way bigger in like the late '90s and the early 2000s when the virus software, everything was comprehensive. And Windows had a ton of backdoors and stuff, so everyone could get massive amounts of fucking malware.
just painful.
Yeah, I was shocked that he was on my two and I didn't really want to apply for it because you're not
Yeah,
getting any
we're not
experience
using our skills
at all.
Like,
It's got like literally nothing to do with what we're doing besides the fact it's computers.
Well, most of the software ones were like in downtown.
yeah,
Mhm.
Like,
I
like
wanna
an
get-
hour and a half to get there. Traffic.
yeah.
Some days it's like 2 hours in
When
traffic.
you come to market, I have had jobs where I've been downtown and it's still be like sometimes 2 hours back.
Yeah.
And I remember when the first study pops up, they had Hydro One up there for Toronto. It was a 9-month job, so we couldn't get it. That's kind of what we put over now. The next year I'll take a 9-month with Hydro One.
Yeah, IBM has ones too that are a year long. So, yeah, 12 months. Year long at one time.
Actually, it's no big deal. You
Yeah.
get one this semester.
Yeah.
I don't really want to drive for 4 months to Toronto and not get a job out of there. Or unpaid co-ops.
Yeah.
Stupid.
So you guys go on co-op after this semester?
Yeah.
Semester 2. Okay, so you guys were winter intakes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. So how does the scene look? Has everybody got a co-op yet? No.
Another interview.
For you, right? But on general, how is it going?
I think most people don't have one, at least from what I'm seeing.
Or is it?
I mean, you're the only person I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Enrique has one.
Oh, yeah.
Ezekiel had an interview yesterday. You might get one. It's wrong.
So
Like
what's
Tyrell
the
doesn't
problem?
have
I mean, are there not enough? I think there are enough jobs out there. What's not working out
I
properly?
think it's picky co-op placements that want to not pay you.
Well, it's not just like it's Georgian students. I'm competing against all these students from every school. Every school's got a program at this point, right? So they're all firing into there.
Yeah, but not all of them are co-op. Keep that in mind. Not everybody has a co-op. It's Jordan definitely has co-ops. Not everybody has co-op. All colleges.
I thought we'd have a better chance being in the fall.
I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
so. I don't think so.
But there's less people.
Less students applying for the jobs, but I guess there's less jobs.
I think in fall there would be more than in winter. It would fall. This time we had a huge winter intake. Usually we don't.
Like, I
This time we
applied-
had 2 sections each, right? Usually
I
it's
applied
not.
super early, and even the one I was like on the day I applied, I was the 9th applicant being interviewed for that position. It wasn't anybody else that I knew from this program, so.
Oh.
But they're on the ordinance.
Yeah, it was on the board list, but
Hmm.
the day like co-op went live, I just blasted it out with resumes and put it around.
So you have one.
Yeah, I have one thing. I would have liked to get one in like Java coding or whatnot, but I didn't really see anything like that.
Yeah, the chances of getting a co-op in pure programming languages is low. You'll get something in, web-based common, but sometimes you don't even get that, and students are kind of just going to the library or doing stuff that's not even
System
related.
Analysis, so,
Oh, okay, system analysis. Okay,
yeah.
That's good though.
yeah,
Like I'm excited for the experience.
yeah.
See,
What really happens out
Yeah,
there?
yeah, exactly.
Because it's so theoretical that you don't you
Well,
don't know what will be.
Exactly, we do all these models and stuff in class all day. It's
I
like,
hate it.
Yeah, we used to call it SAT. Like system analysis and design was the most. I called it SAT. Like I never liked it. It was so theoretical. But
Yeah,
that's what it
it's
is, right?
just
You have to
right.
have that experience too.
But the jobs are, there's so many jobs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I'm curious, like, what the actual work.
Work with,
was,
exactly.
And like, what is your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. And I never pursued that. I never liked SAT. I always wanted to do programming. So I never even, and similarly with project management, right? What you will see further with Jared. Jared used to be in project management before he came here. So he teaches project management. So he tries to put in more practical aspect into it.
Well, the course is really good. It's like, I've been like trying to like code all these games and whatnot on the side, but the complexity is so big. When you start thinking about all these different components and whatnot, so the system analysis really helped me with being
Exactly.
able to put together these big projects.
Yeah, you're right. So the practical experience is required. Theory doesn't make sense till you start doing it.
So I've hit road bumps where it's just like the complexity, you just
Yeah.
can't wrap your head around.
You're right, right?
Too many elements.
Too many elements, you're right. And so I've heard project management is also something like, they call it theoretical, but all necessary. Yeah, but I never pursued that. I never somehow liked it. Anyway. Okay, so let's come back to what this is. We'll be able to finish early today. And again, as I said, if there is anything in the assignment, I'll sit with you and look into it. If, of course, you've already done something. So here is your constructor. As I said, all it does is, I'm just thinking, do I need that to be an instance variable, or can I make it a? I think I can actually make it a local variable. Just now that I'm looking at it. Anyway, I'll see, and then we'll put it as a local variable. Just putting all my three together. That's all I'm doing. So notice there when I started, I thought, oh, I'll use the random class. And then I remembered that there now 7 onwards, I think we have the secure random class in terms of security. So I went with the secure random. All you do is you create an object of that secure random here. That's all I've done, right? Okay, so now these two are filled up, right? These two methods, as I showed you, were private methods which were just filling up your databases, kind of. So that's done. Now the main thing, how to generate a response. How do I generate a response? What do I do? So what it does is it takes a hash set. That's what it is expecting from the outside world, this responder, and it goes through those words. From that particular hash set, it goes through one word at a time, a normal for enhanced loop. If it finds it, see, there is the get. Get is to get that word. So now what is generate response doing? The generate response is working with a set, and it is picking up that set and seeing, trying to find that word in its response map. So this is your response map. This is your response map. Your hash map is your response map. So look at the for enhanced loop. It says pick up one word at a time. So get is like normal get that you use in an array list. Get one word at a time. Where is this word coming from? Enhanced loop. What are you searching through? Through the hash set. So assuming when we write the system will take input reader's hash set and give it to the responder, right? So all the words that were generated in the input reader are now being passed to the generate response method. That's what will happen when it happens. So then the words are kind of broken down means looked at one at a time. As soon as a word is found, as what? Gets the corresponding value for that particular word. That's what the get method is. Now you have to be a little careful here. I have said if response is not equal to null, return it. Right? But I must tell you that the get method, if you go to the get method, that doesn't necessarily mean that null necessarily doesn't mean you didn't get it, because I have mentioned it before that null can also be a value. It can also be a value that is mapped to a particular word. So you just have to keep that in mind. For us, it is okay. We are saying if it is not null, if it is null, I don't have to use it. So I'm saying if it is not null, just return that response. And what is the response? This value. So I say get crash, I get this. I say get system, I get this. I say get OS, I get this. So the get method gets the value corresponding to the key. That's what it does. Right? So get is not like the array list get, which just retrieves the value. The get method in the hash map gets the value corresponding to the word that you have given. That's how it works.
So what happens if you have multiple keywords?
It will just stop at the first. It just returns it. Right? I've said return it.
Right away.
Right away. It just right away returns it. Now, if we wanted to say, like a search engine would give you all the responses, there we'll keep all these in an array list or wherever, and then return them together.
Okay.
For our case, we are okay to find the first one and return. Because when you ask a question, I don't want to give you 10 answers. I want to give you one answer.
Right.
In a search engine, if I ask you something, then I want to see all the successful searches. So that is a little different. So here, as soon as it finds the first one, it returns it. So it will always give you the first response in the list. That's what it does. And it's logical for us. It's okay for us. But again, if you didn't want to do it, all we had to do was we'll create another array list here of strings and we'll keep populating it. And at the end of the method, I mean, before the method ends, we'll return all the answers. But I mean, that could be done, but that's not what we want to do. Because if you say, oh, my question is this, you don't want to say, here are your 10 answers. Yeah, it's not a search engine we are creating, kind of, right? We are just creating a answer. So it stops at the first answer. It returns it and it stops. That's all happens in generate response. See how easy? So I had to create a hash map, of course. The hash map was nothing but key value pairs. I use the get method. I pass the key to it and I get the value back. I put it back to whoever, from wherever I've been called. Right? S. That's all that happens in generate response. So the input reader is creating a hash set of unique words. The responder is creating an answer for the word. That's why it's called generate response. The rest of the methods. So now what if you didn't find it? It may happen. Then all I do is I return a pick default. I wrote a method called pick default response in which I'll pick up randomly from this list. I could find an answer here. So what do? Just give an answer back? I can't keep shut, right? The intelligence system has to give an answer back. So if you come here, so this for loop finishes, you're still in the method. It says if we get here, none of the words from the input line was recognized. So in this case, we pick one of our default responses, any default. And what does the pick default response does? The pick default response does just creates a random number. There it is, creates a random number and gets that answer at that particular value and returns it. That's all it does. That's all it can do. Right? So you have an array list. So what does pick default? Create a random number. You know the next int method? The next int method creates the next integer between 0 and size -1. That's how next int works. That's how next int works. So bound, it starts from 0 to bound -1 and gives you the next integer. So you know the size of your array list? You have to pick up an answer from 0 to size -1. So you generate a random number from 0 to size -1, pick it up from the array list and return it. That's all you can do, right? I mean, you have to give an answer. So that's what this method does. So the pick default response, so that's what I was saying. Maybe I can just create my random generator right here in this method. The only problem with that will be you don't keep creating random generators. You only create it once. You don't, I mean, that object has not to be created over and over again. The object is created once and you call it, give me a next int, give me a next int. So I think it has to be an instance variable. It won't be a local, because with local, I'll have to do a new every time. And that's not how you work with random generators. They're only generated once. Right? So there it is, done. So generate response says, if I find the answer in my hash map, I'll give it to you. And all it did was use a normal for loop, enhanced for loop. For loops are so handy. These are called enhanced for loops. One word at a time, pick up from your hash set, try to find it, and the get method returns. You can look at it. It returns the value corresponding to it. It's a little different from the get. So you give it a key and it returns the value. Job done. Response has been generated. So now if I had to enhance this system, I wouldn't use a hash map. I would use a database with tables. So it is enhanced. I mean, the logic doesn't change. The concept doesn't change. But of course, the data structures change. So all that we've been doing in this course is we've been working with volatile data structures. Anything gets created, finishes, dies. Right? If I had to work with files or databases, I would go a step further. And that's what you learn how to use those in your advanced course. Okay, now the only thing I have to do is to sum it all up. To sum it all up, I have to create a system. So if you want, I can do it. It's not a big thing at all. So it's just a kind of a putting it together thing, nothing else. So what does this support system need? Has a relationship. You're seeing a has a relationship here. The support system needs a reader. The support system needs a responder. right? So what will it do? Its job is while keep on going till we'll have to stop somewhere. So don't write an infinite loop. Don't use break statements at all. All break statements are not recommended at all. It was one of the researches, my topics when I started my PhD, never finished it. But anyway, what is a break statement? If you kind of think of a break statement in any loop or anywhere, so there is some code going on here, right? You put an if statement here and you say break. And you say break, and there is a loop or whatever or while loop. So break says, okay, I'll take the attention of the programmer out to outside the loop. Now, if there is only one loop, it's not a big job, but think of loops being nested and nested and nested in programming. And then what happens is it confuses the programmer who's reading the code to say what's happening in my code. So it is highly recommended, and it has been proved, that's what the research was for. It has been proved that you should always do go to less programming. Never use go to in your programs, right? In the old languages, this statement instead of break, there was a go to line number this, go to line number that. And it has been proved that all programs should be go to less. Like you shouldn't be using go tos. And I don't know why, but the Java, whoever, like the guy who created Java, the group who created Java, I don't know why they kept this break statement in as a statement in the language. Because break is like a go to. Break says break, stop here and go somewhere else. That somewhere else is outside the loop. For a simple loop, it doesn't look as if it's a great deal, but think of programming and coding thousands of lines where you have nested loops and so on, and you're saying break, where am I going? It's like saying go to end of my loop. That's what you're saying. So it's not recommended. So I always tell my Java students, never do it, just to go to less programming. And that's what it was. I don't know. I mean, I don't see the reason, but so what did I do? I never use breaks if I can avoid. So this support system has a relationship. It has an input reader and it has a responder, and its job will be what? Read from the reader, give to the responder, get the answer from the responder, spit it on the screen, and keep doing this. Not infinitely. When the user says, okay, I'm done, some way of saying, okay, you are done, bye or exit or whatever, the user types bye or the user says, okay, goodbye, something, the program stops. So what I've done is I've used a Boolean variable. So you can always work with a Boolean variable to break a loop instead of the break statement. So I start with a Boolean variable false, and then I just print a message. Print welcome is just a print message, no big deal. And look at the loop, while not finished. So while finished is equal to false, keep on doing. So how will you break it? What will you do? So to break it, what I have done is, so here is what it is doing. Control Alt F, God knows why it's so untidy. Okay, so I have a local get input. So notice I'm getting my input from the reader. That's the job of the reader. Remember that get input method? The get input method was taking your input here. That was taking your input, breaking it into words and returning them. That's what it was doing. So what does the system say? System says, okay, this is how I work. I think we can declare the variable outside. Why should we declare it inside every time? It can go outside. Here I can just say input. Okay, so this is an infinite loop, kind of, right? Till the user says I'm done. Doing? Oh, because I was initializing it here. Okay, that's okay. Okay, so get the input from the reader. If the input contains by, now you'll say, what is this contains method? If you kind of click on it, you will notice that hash set has a contains method, right? It has a contains method, and if you right click and say, show me the Java doc, there it is, contains. It returns a Boolean value, returns true if this set contains the specified element. So you just can't use contains out of the blue. The class should have implemented it. There should be a definition for it. Right? And you can only check for elements that are in. You can't say, oh, I'll check for the string if it is not a string collection. Can't do that. I mean, you have to match. You have to match what you are doing. So it says, if my input contains by, finished will become true. So basically, you are telling the user, when you are done, please type in by. So maybe somewhere in the print welcome message will say, what is your question? When you're finished, type in by. And it doesn't matter by either way. Small, uppercase, lowercase, everything will work. Right? Oh, before I forget, did you notice something in my responder? It was important because notice all my keys are in lowercase. There was no case, confusion here. They were all in lowercase. And therefore, in my input reader, when I read from the user, I converted everything into lowercase so that when it searches for it, it is not case sensitive. I mean, it is case insensitive. Doesn't matter what you say. If you say how, that how in any case combination will still be found. So therefore, I changed it to all lowercase here, and therefore in my responder, all these are in lowercase. Otherwise, I would have to kind of do a equals ignore case kind of stuff and all that, and I can do it. I mean, it's case sensitive, so I just went this way. Okay, so the support system says if it is by, we'll stop. Else, what does it do? It asks the responder to generate a response, passes the input to it, all that hash set, gets it back and prints it on the screen. Done, finished. That's all the system does. So get input from the input reader, pass the input that you got from the input reader, pass it to the responder, this generate response method. Remember that was returning you something. Remember the return? It was returning you the value and print it out, spit it out. Job done. That's your artificial, that's all the loop is about. Keep reading. So, and then say a print goodbye, which is again a method. So the print ln, the print welcome is saying welcome to whatever, please tell us about your problem, print bye to exit. It does tell you what to exit. Otherwise, like it's it will just won't work. And the print goodbye is just saying nice talking to you. So you have to tell the user that how the user needs to stop. So I say just print bye to exit. You could use any word, print exit to exit, or you could just anything that you want. So that's all is in. So the only important method of this system is your start method. So here is an example of a has a relationship. You've seen it many times. You've done it so many times, but maybe now you can differentiate between is a relationship and a has a relationship. So has a relationships are loosely coupled. I make changes to my input reader, their types or whatever, as long as it doesn't affect this code of getting. I'm just saying get it. It doesn't matter how it was doing, what it was doing. I have no clue. Was it using a hash set or was it using something else? And it doesn't matter. Maybe it changes its hash set implementation to tree set. I'm fine. I'm still using the get method. The get method will change its return type. I'm okay here, right? So has a relationship are loosely coupled. When they're loosely coupled, changes in one class necessarily don't affect the other class to a great extent. Whereas in inheritance, they're tightly coupled classes, and they are. It's inheritance we are talking about, right? One is getting from the other. So they are tightly coupled. And again, there is both ways. Like there are two groups which say inheritance, there's nothing wrong in inheritance as long as it is pure inheritance. And it is. How else will you do it? How else will you implement it? Right? And the other side says, oh, they're so tightly coupled classes, it's too much maintenance of code. And one affects the other immediately. So I don't know. To me, if it is inheritance, why would I create composition out of it? I would create inheritance. Now, the only thing that's left is your tester, right? So let's open your tech support system Java. And all you have to do here is basically create a support system object. Let's test if it works. I mean, with this way of working, not with a tester. And all you have to do is call its start method. Job done. Like that's all you have to do. Support systems start method was in that loop. It was in a loop. It will print the message once, then it will keep going in the loop till you say bye. Then it will print the goodbye message, and its job is done. Right. So that's the easiest way to check it. Like, will it work or will it not work? And remember, in between, I've shown you some printing statements. So keep that in mind too, because when you see it, you'll know what it means. Okay, let's run it then. Let's see what is happening. So I see some errors. Exception cannot be cast. Oh, what is it giving? Please tell us about your problem. Okay, something is not right at input Java 25. Oh, it doesn't like this one. What does it say? Cannot be cast to java.util.hashset. Okay, what does it say here? Tech support system Java is where it is calling. It is calling from Java 23. Okay, so something is wrong here. What is it saying? Class cast exception. It says it can be done. I definitely did it somewhere. Can Can't remember now. Okay, so this was not it. I just did it. Oh, there it is. I made them final, but that's not necessary at all. New hat. Oh, I see. I'm missing this. Oh, I did a new here, but there I casted it, so it's not many different. Notice how I've made them static here because I don't need these to be anything else. But I did a new here, and I was just doing a casting here, and it doesn't like the cast. But why doesn't it like the cast is the biggest question. Why doesn't it like the cast? And that's the error it is saying. It's saying it is a class cast exception. If there is a problem here, then there should be a problem here too. This should also not work, right? I'm doing the same thing. I never tested it actually here. I just use the common ones, so maybe this will also not work. Okay, let me try then. So we definitely know that the casting is causing a problem. So we have to go new hash set. I never tested the other one, but I'm sure. Okay, so we don't know about. Okay, so new hash set, we create a new one. And it's in its constructor, I pass a list to it. It says it's a class. Do you notice the error? It says a class cast exception. And it's not making a lot of sense to me, but that's what it says. You can't cast it. It says arrays and array list cannot be cast to hash set. It says, so if it is not, it is not. I can't do it. You know what I mean? Like I can't. So that means remove this statement, please. This will not work because I'm doing the same thing. I don't even want to put it here because it's incorrect. Like it says it cannot be cast. You cannot cast an array or an array list to a hash set. That's the error. So remove this, please. We never tested that because like we have this one, but we know the error. Okay, so you have to go new hash set and pass it as a constructor. I passed it as a constructor. In its constructor, there is a hash set. If you notice, maybe you don't till I show it to you, of course. If you have the constructors, here are the constructors. I have an empty one, then I can pass it a collection. So I'm using this one. I'm saying create a new hash set and pass a collection to it. And that's what I've done here now. I've passed a collection to it. Okay, that's nice to know actually. So the error says you cannot cast an array or an array list also. So both will not work. So changing this common words into an array list will also not work. Now let's try it now. Okay, now it's okay. So there was the problem. So instead of casting, okay, now I want to show you something where, remember I was showing it to, Amanda asked me, why did you put the twice? And I was telling her that even if I put it twice, when I put it into a hash set, the will go. I only notice it once. There is only one the. That's the use. So it was, I mean, it's not as if you will put it twice. Nobody will do that mistake, but you're just taking care that if the same word is occurring twice, I mean, this is me filling it up. So why would I even put the word twice, but just taking a precaution. Also, since I've just seen it, that I did it in my own, when I was doing things, it's a good idea and it is good. There's nothing wrong in it. Why don't I make this, where did I put it? I put it in get inputs. Oh, now if it is in get inputs, if it is a local variable, I can't make it static. Local variables cannot be made static. I can only, I mean, since these are, you can do this. You can actually take these two things. I'm taking my common words and I'm creating them as instance variables because all objects will need it. And what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to make them private and static and final. What does that mean? They belong to the class. They cannot be changed. And that's what we want. These are common words. They won't change. Like, I mean, only the programmer can change them. Otherwise, they're just words. So we'll make this also private. So what does that save? Save memory space. Local variables are created, killed. One, since all objects, the prepositions or the common words are same for all objects, I've just made them class variables. Okay, so I make them class, static, Fine. And why did I make this one? Because this was just temporary. I only had to convert it into a hash set. You can't use, if this is static, it can only use static calls. Like it can only use static variables. So I've made them instance variables. So again, just an improvement. Now what will happen is these common words, commons, what I've called commons, this will only be present at one place in memory and all objects will be referring to it. And that's what we want. Anything that's final is only one copy in memory and all objects use it, right? So here is, so definitely we had a problem with, I'll have to stop this. Definitely we had a problem with casting. And then secondly, I've moved it to be instance variables just because it makes sense. It just makes sense to do it. Okay, now let's try to run it again so that I can show you. Now I can remove actually my system out println statement. Anyway, so this was just to show you the word the is not repeated. So it says, okay, what's your question? Like now I could give a silly thing, which I know is not there. How is the weather? Right, now you'll see how it will break up into words. So how becomes a word, whether becomes a word, is becomes a word, but the doesn't become a word. The was removed. So that means I didn't have is in my common words. Is should be in my common words also. So what are my keywords? My keywords are how, whether, is. And now I can remove that commons. It will keep coming. So what does it give you? It said, could you elaborate on this? Because it didn't find an answer to how is the weather. It just picked up a random question from a random answer from the array list. Okay. Now, just because this is so irritating, I'm going to remove what I was showing Amanda, that output statement, this one. Now we know that that's how a hash set is different from anything else. They're all unique values. And again, when will I use it? When I want to keep a unique set. So you're collecting a lot of data or in an array list or whatever, and now you want to convert it into a unique list. All you have to do is put it into a hash set. Job done. Right? So that's the advantage. You'll say, why so many collections? Why is this? Why do we have lists? Why do we have sets? And why do we have maps? Because their properties are different. The way they work are different. Array list, no problem of duplicates. Sets can only have unique values, and hash set, hash maps will always have a key value there. And just so that you know, and it's not new if you hear it in your final exam, we also have a tree map, which is very similar. And I'll tell you what is the difference in terms of layman. And then we also have a tree set. So the structure, how they are saved in memory is different. I don't know if you're familiar with the tree structure in, not necessarily, but could be depending upon the type of the tree. So a tree structure, so not an array list is a list in memory, right? So it could be somewhere else. An array is a contiguous space. When you declare an array, you get contiguous space in memory. When you declare an array list, your elements could be anywhere, but their references are all at one place. That's an array list, right? Now, a hash map, when it is stored, I'm not sure, but I can of course double check, but from my knowledge, a hash map is the same as array list, except that it has 2 pointers going out from every element, right? Now, these data structures are also different in how you search for something. So a tree is a structure that looks something like this. You have, it's called the root. Then you have some branches, branch 1, branch 2. It may go further, branch 3, branch 4. And the search time, I'll give you an example, just so that you kind of understand. So it's again, it's to do with data structures and everything, but why not? Suppose I am keeping some numbers. So this is called a binary search tree, okay? Anything greater than 10 will go here. Anything less than 10 will go here. That's how it saves values, right? And you'll see how the search time improves, double-fold almost from array list search. Okay, so now 20 is greater. So anything less than 20 but greater than 10 will go here. So this branch will always be bigger than 10. This branch will always be less than 10. So now when if I have to search for the value 15, I can use a binary search. The computer uses a binary search. The algorithm is binary search. Here there are sequential searches. So sequential search always takes more time. Search the first one, no. Second, no, and so on. What does binary search do? Binary is breaking into half, binary 2. So if I'm searching for key 17, for example, it will say, oh, 17 is greater than 10. This group is totally discarded. So you've kind of discarded half your numbers. Then it comes in, it says 70. It says, okay, here it is 20. So 17 is greater than 10, we'll take this branch. Is 17 less than 20, we'll take this branch. So again, you've discarded this half. So binary search is quicker than sequential search logically, and in binary search, you have to remember that the list must be sorted, right? So it's kind of a sort. This is called a binary search tree. And that is the difference between a tree map and a hash map. Access time, searching time. Right? So when would you use a tree map? When would you use a hash map? When would you use a list? When would you use a set will depend upon your application.
Couldn't you hash map your values into a tree?
Yes, you could. And that's when you do that. So if I have a hash map and I want to convert it into a tree map, you can do that. Like I can convert an array list and an array into a set. You can do that. Yeah, you can. So it depends what you want to use. Right? And that's why these data structures are different. So they are all collections, but their nature, their properties, their search times, efficiency is different. So you choose the one that works for your application. Okay? Because their storage is a little tough, right? So you are not bothered, but remember it's time consuming for the system. So therefore we say, do you want a better execution time or do you want storage less? And between the two, there must always be a fine balance. So this is all to do with these data structures. Okay. Okay. So having said that, okay, let's come back to and run it again. So keep in mind there is list, there is set, there is maps. I have introduced you to a list element, array list. I've introduced you to a set element, hash set. I've introduced you to a hash map also. So if in the exam you're asked to do something with a tree set or tree map, you should be able to do it. Same concept. Okay. Okay. Let's run it again. And hopefully we won't see those commons now. I can also start removing my, the system crashes a lot. So remember there was a word crashes for sure in my hash map. And it will say, oh, well, it never crashes on our system. I don't know what crashed, but my system crashes. I wasn't saying word crashes or software crashes, but that's what I get back. So it's now it has gone to the hash map to search for it. I think there was something called system. I'm not sure. I can't remember now. If you go to your responder, crashes was there, slow was there, performance was there. There are performance issues. And I'm giving, doesn't matter how I do it. I can give it in any way, but when it takes my input, it converts it into all lowercase and then it searches in it. So let's double check if key searches in hash map is case sensitive, right? I just want to check. If not, then I don't need to convert it into lowercase. But I just did it just so I thought, oh, then I don't have to worry about how they're occurring. But I never checked whether they're case sensitive. There are performance issues. And notice if I put more than one blanks and then I go how I can put a R question mark, anything, they will all split. These will all become words because it's in my regular expression. Notice performance became a word, R became a word, there became a word, issues became a word, oh, it was a how became a word. So anytime it sees a question mark, blanks, colon, semicolon, exclamation mark, anything that you can think of breaks a word, put it in your regular expression. And again, we may miss something, Google it and see what are the characters that can break a word. I just made it up. So it says performance was quite adequate in all our tests. Are you running any other processes? Right now, to stop it, doesn't matter what you do. As long as it has the word by in it, it will stop. Right? That's it. The system is done. So see how it's not that tough. It's the logic is not tough, but of course the complexity is really low. It's not complex in that way because I didn't go that route, but the logic still remains the same. So now that you know that it is working properly, because we never we don't, because it's kind of untidy and it's not required at all, we can remove this from here. So this was just to show you that how the words are being created. And to test that each one of these, whatever you've given here, a blank, a comma, question mark, you can try with them. They will all work because logically all it is doing is splitting it on this. And I said, irrespective of it can occur one or more times, just ignore them. So even if I had so many blanks here, notice how I had so many blanks when I wrote one of these. It just took it once. These blanks were ignored. All together were also ignored. Right? You mean in this class?
Yeah.
So I created the words and I removed the common words out of it. Do you have an error somewhere? You're not removing the common words. That's why your common words are coming up in your list.
I'm removing it.
And then they're still coming up? Do you have the same common words like I have?
Yeah.
Oh, let me see then. Okay. But that's about it. So that takes care of the final project I had to do with you. Right. So I have kind of according to me, given you a good start or whatever, and covered that all I had to do. So keep in mind, not everything can be done in its eternity, but you have ideas. You know how to do exception handling. I haven't done it, it's like I haven't done everything, but you know what it means. You know how to write exception classes. You know how to throw exceptions. You've seen the use of throwing exceptions and so on. Okay, so now for the rest 40 minutes or so, that's really strange. The first time I've finished, like, it's really done, like it's still, I have 40 minutes to go. So I can, if you have, I don't know, like it really depends whether you've started working on an assignment or not, or if you have any questions, I can answer them, right? Or you can, if you want to work right now, I know a couple of you are already working in groups. If you want to, and I can do that. But I'm done, like I've finished my course. So same kind of concept like midterm, hands-on, right? You coding? Yeah, it will be coding. No. Coding. It will be coding. It will be open book in the sense you can use your examples. Only access allowed will be Blackboard and Java API as before. The rest, whatever. And I'll try to, I think. I mean, if not by the time I give it, I'll mark it using the test.
Read about trees.
Yeah. Read about sets and maps and lists, right? Try to figure out something on that. And again, anything logical will do. Like not very tough, but somewhere you can write a little logic, somewhere you can use something from the library, something where you can use a little bit of inheritance, kind of a mixture of everything. Let's see what I can do, right? But that will be the aim. So everything is in the course. Everything we've done till date is in the course. And it will be a hands-on, okay? Okay, let me do this. For whatever reason, I don't know, but oh, the personal one has the right one. Okay. I'll place this on Blackboard if you're interested. I mean, I don't know how much time will you have to even look at it now, but anyway, it will go on Blackboard for you. Let's see. What does it say? Does it have an error? What does it say?
No.
Oh, but it just did not do the-
keeping the as a keyword instead of get like in my comments. Right? Have them here. I'm printing out to make sure that
Those are the words.
yeah.
And then
prints out when I say the weather.
so you're printing out the comments first,
Yeah.
and then are you printing out the other words? Yeah, you are. Okay, so let's see. The comments are the as in let's.
Say it. So it's in the
Yeah.
you're getting rid of it.
Yeah, it should be. Let's see. So. Okay, so we take the input, we trim it, we convert it into the output. Oh, what are we doing? Okay, we skip. Then you said words. Add all of here to here. Yeah, that looks fine. And then you say remove from words all that is in comments. It's really strange, right? Logically it can be, but of course it is. What do I do? Click. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's weird.
Look up to the upper window.
This one.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Something is wrong here. So common words is an array. And commons is taking your common word. But notice how it is saying that this is not being used anyway. Bring your mouse over your common words. What does it say? Yeah, I saw a warning.
The name does not follow name.
Okay, that's not it. So somewhere the printing is at the wrong place then. What else could it be? Let's come down then. Okay, so you print your comments right away. So that's okay. Your comments are being printed properly. The comments that we created here. Okay, so that's not even our interest. Okay, so then we say your question, we read it from the user. Okay, then I split it. Take your input line and split it. Add all of these words into the words. Okay, and then say word all remove. What is going on? What is the problem?
Yeah.
Because
No
it says-
error,
No
just-
error,
it's not
yeah, but logically there is nothing wrong. So comments are always right, but your words are always wrong. Words remove all comments of it. And then take them out. What's going on? Okay, regular expression. Now, what else can we do? Right? Can you remove the last blank after the plus for me? Regular expressions are mean, but does it mean anything? See? Yeah, the blank is a special meaning after the plus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, regular expressions are finicky, right? So you said this, then a plus after it, and then you put a blank. So blank is doing something with the plus to mean something in the other.
Can I ask you one more question about
Yeah,
page
sure.
7? I got this so far. So
Account
I got
plus?
accounts,
Mhm.
getters, setters, and validate, and then I got like everything.
Okay, now come, I saw an error somewhere. Account number is equal to I saw there was an error. What did I say? Oh, I saw something. Okay, let's come to account. My mistake. I must have said. Okay, so let's look at the accounts one. Yeah. Okay, now think this account number is what? String. We don't compare strings with people. You say is equals to. Or just say is not, isn't. Use
Oh, I was
isn't.
gonna put isn't either.
Yeah, not the whole thing. Account number dot isn't. And I want separate error messages. This has to go into two ifs, okay? Keep that in mind.
And this one too?
Yeah.
Or say this one.
Yeah, it says in this, automatically it says.
It
Okay.
says this one, then you put it there.
No, this one says definitely. If you look at my assignment, it says I need separate error messages for one line. We'll just put two if statements, not a big deal, right?
Okay, my question is how to put the test in so when I'm done to test it.
Okay, so now do something, I'll tell you the right way so that you don't wrong. Okay, so go to your account class, account.java, no, account.java that you
Oh,
created.
yeah.
No, here, there, in that. Do a right click, go to tools, say create or update test, and let it create it, say okay. Now this is because students are having problems by just copying. Now, once you have this file ready, open my account test.java wherever and copy the code.
This one.
Yeah, copy.
Copy the
Yeah,
whole thing
the whole thing. Yeah.
and paste it over.
Paste it here, and then you may have to change the package. Just paste Control A, do a Control A to select all.
By control it down.
Okay, now the only thing you may have to do is go up and maybe change. I don't know if you have to. Oh, yours. Okay, that's fine. Okay, there it is. It's the right one, right? You also got it account inheritance. Okay, there you are.
So for all of them, all you have to do is right click the actual one. you're
Actual
testing.
one, right click.
Tools.
And yeah, that way at least it creates the file in the right directory. Because yesterday I was telling students to copy it and one student was having the problem. So, yeah. So every time you will finish a class, right click, create a test, copy my code into it. Okay?
So would it count? I could probably test this.
Oh,
one
yeah,
out.
you could.
Because I think I did everything for this one, I'm not done saving.
Okay, so now what you do is you go to the account test one. Or you can go to the main package also, account inheritance. The first one, account inheritance, right at the top. Right at the top. Yeah, do a right click and say test with Jacob. I thought you and Miriam would be working together. Okay, open up the account inheritance, click on it.
We were, it's just I wasn't able to.
Yeah, and then click on it. So it says you missed something in the debit method, otherwise you're okay.
Oh, for Jacob Company?
Yeah, come back to your debit method, everything else is okay. So let's look at your debit method. So go down. Oh, I see it. Okay, here is the problem. Let me explain it to you. You guys do it. I've seen others also doing it. So you're saying if this is it, then I want to do this. Else if this is. Now, why do we need an if statement in the last else? The rest is what it is. So what NetBeans is saying is, so I'm saying if it is raining, take your umbrella.
No, it's just.
Else, why are you again saying if it is not raining? So that's why. So remove that if thing out of it. Just the whole if, yeah.
This whole thing.
Yeah. And now it will be. if the logic is okay, right?
But it's not using your file to test it?
Yeah, it is using my file to test it. That's what, how else would it test it, right? It is using my file. So again, go and do a test here. What results you see, okay, now again open up, go to the account. Now it says it's completely tested. Now you have an expected output, come back to your NPs. Right, you have this expected output and I've given you my expected output in my expected file, just match now. So that error messages are okay and can I see your name and I did a system out println also somewhere. Slowly. Here, there it is. I see account number this and account number. Okay. So just now take this output and match it against mine. So everything is green and if this is the same, you're good to go. You are good to go for at least maybe 75% or 80% of the percent. The rest I'll have to look at code. Did you write it kind of thing?
But I actually did my own errors, but you said they're actually in here and you want me to use those ones.
That was just easy.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. Because then it's easy, right? And they were not big messages. Then I don't have to kind of go and look at did you do it at the right place? You know what I mean?
How do you get rid of the screen?
Okay, go to that again, right click, and say reset. Okay?
I like it.
You're welcome.